Hey, and welcome to the Mountain Cat Guitars podcast, where we discuss all things guitar related. My name is Doug Meyer, owner of Mountain Cat Guitars, and I've been buying and selling guitars professionally for over 25 years. From boutique guitar and amp builders, vintage guitar dealers and experts, guitar repairmen and luthiers, retailers, manufacturers, and of course guitar players, we talk to the people who buy, sell, play, and of course obsess over the things we love most, guitars. Hello and welcome to the Mountain Cat Guitars podcast. We are here in Sunset Park, Brooklyn at the Guitar Shop NYC, and we are very happy to have Lance Keltner all the way from Austin, Texas.
Hey everybody.
Hey Lance.
Nice to be here.
Welcome to the Guitar Shop.
Thanks.
Lance is in town. We'll be doing a lot of videos with his line of smart Belle Amps, which we'll be talking about. And we're having a listening party later and having all kinds of fun people come by, and there'll be tons of stuff on YouTube where you can hear Lance speaking about them and all kinds of fun stuff. And we have Charles Whitfield coming.
Yes, he'll be here.
And then all kinds of other cool people. Josh from Protocast will be here, Night Bob, and all kinds of fun folks. So there'll be tons of video of that stuff later too. But Lance's purpose, besides coming to New York to hang out, is to show everybody these amazing line of amps. So we'll get to that sort of at the end, and we'll start at the beginning, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So you are not from Texas, but from Oklahoma.
I was born at Fort Sill, Oklahoma. My father was he was a CID agent.
Right.
And we got stationed all over the world. So to say I'm from Oklahoma, well...
Oh, you were moving.
We were moving a lot. Now,
were you overseas?
We were in Germany, and then he went to Korea, and we went to Atlanta, and then we went to Little Rock.
I didn't know
and
that. I thought you were
military. We ended up back in Oklahoma, and there was both a blessing and a curse for me because, I started playing guitar. The curse was it's Oklahoma. There's only so much you can do.
Right.
You can't go get a record deal hanging out in Oklahoma.
Right.
However, my best friend in high school, his older sister was married to a guy named Bobby Williams, who was in a band called Two Guns that was out of Oklahoma. The only band out of Oklahoma, I think at that time, had ever been signed. They were signed to Capricorn Records.
Oh, wow.
And they sounded imagine ZZ Top's first album meets the coolest Allman Brothers stuff. They were really good.
There were a lot of bands back then that were like that.
Yeah, killer.
Killing guitar guys.
Yeah. They were the same kind of genre and the same sort of touring circuits like Point Blank and all those kinds of things, right? Good. And so the great thing is those guys, the upside to Oklahoma is they took me under their wing and helped me get gear. Made fun of my playing, taught me how to play better, and I got to open for them and jam with them, and it really brought me along as a player. And when I was 15 years old, my rig was a '68 Plexi Marshall, and
Junior or something.
And I had a Les Paul Special, a '57 Special, and I had an Echoplex and a Clyde McCoy Wah and a Fuzz Face, and I should have just kept that for the rest of my life.
That's the problem.
Right.
You look back and you're like, oh, why did I get rid of that? The Plexi.
So my band starts doing well around Oklahoma, and we got to the point that I just basically went, I've run out of things to do here, and nothing's going to happen. You can't get an A&R person usually to fly it up. No. So I said, I got to go somewhere. I don't have any dough to go to California or New York. So I went to Austin in '82 and formed a band there under my name, and actually, got a lot of activity and finally got a record deal. And
Austin must have been popping at that point.
Man, I'll tell you, the early '80s and the mid '80s.
It was Stevie Ray Vaughanville, wasn't it?
It was unbelievable. We actually got paid back then to play. Once the club owners figured out that you didn't get paid in California to play, you were just lucky to play, they started doing that to us. But early on in the '80s, you could be in an original music band and make a living if you were good.
Right.
And, I fell into this deal. I mean, one of the funniest stories about me moving to Austin was a buddy of mine said, the Austin Opera House has rehearsal rooms in the back, Willie Nelson's place. You should go out and hang out in the parking lot to see who you meet because, you might meet some guys. Sure enough, man, I went down there and in 15 minutes, there were these guys arguing, walking down the hall out the back door. And this big Italian guy goes, who are you? I said, my name's Lance. And he goes, I'm Dorian Aiacci. He goes, you play guitar? And I went, I do. And he goes, do you have your gear with you? I went, in my car. And he goes, come on. And their guitar player just quit.
Whoever told you to hang out there was right.
Yeah, so I went from knowing no one in Austin to rehearsing on the same hallway with Van Wilkes, Eric Johnson, Shiva's headband, and Stevie had a room there, and we were at the end of the hall. So I got to meet all these guys early on.
First week you were there.
Yeah, it was great. So I met Eric Johnson, and we became friends. And Van Wilkes is an incredible player too. He's a really good friend of Billy Gibbons. So I learned a lot just hanging around with those guys, and then that turned into '85. I moved to New York.
Right.
Got a lot of label interest, and Brendan Burke, who had been managing Billy Idol, was managing me. Finally, I'm doing the abbreviated version. Skip ahead. '90, I got a record deal on Atco East West, and
Were you in New York that whole time?
no, I stayed in New York from '85 to '86. And then my manager went, it's going to be cheaper for you to maintain a band in Austin.
Right. So
why
cheaper in New York.
Why don't you
Anywhere
go
else but here.
Yeah, why don't you go to Austin and we'll continue this process? Well,
Right.
I ended up splitting with him, and then all of a sudden I'd done demos with Jack Ponte out in New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
So Jack calls me one day. I'm at my rehearsal room, and Jack calls and says, "I've got 2 opportunities for you. And you choose one, though. You can't have both." I said, "What?" He goes, "I can get you the gig playing with Alice Cooper, or we can get you signed to Atco East West under your name." And I went, "Let's do the record deal." And turns out that the East West people who were very dance oriented ended up firing all the great Atco people, and I was on a dance label by accident.
Right.
So like they were basically putting all their money into In Vogue, which they should have been.
Right.
And they were going, "We don't even know what the hell to do with this
Right.
guy." So I got out of that deal. They gave me a demo budget to go away, and I used that demo budget to do a record at Arlen Studios, which was the Opera House, Willie Nelson's place,
Right.
and got a record deal in Europe and started touring Europe quite a bit. And I did that for years and years.
Right.
Yeah, and I love playing in Europe. Europe's amazing.
But you didn't make a record in New York?
Well, no. What happened was we made a record. Started making a record at the Hit Factory, and then the deal we had at that time didn't work out and fell through. So I did do the album here in the Northeast, but I did it out in Jersey.
Right.
So my first album was done out near Tom's River.
Well, that was released in everything, right?
Huh?
That was released in everything.
Oh yeah, it was on Atco East West. It was
Right.
released. It did really well in a lot of markets, but they just wouldn't push it.
That was a weird time for...
It was a very weird time.
Especially for guitar-oriented music.
Well, the thing
Unless you're
is,
Stevie Ray.
Okay.
They seem to understand that and nothing else.
I mean, you do understand that I mean, this is a funny side note, and she'll probably kill me if she ever finds out about this, but my A&R person at Atco East West was a very famous long-term A&R person who had been with a bunch of labels. And she was friends with Fran Drescher, and that Fran Drescher's character in Spinal Tap is based entirely on my A&R person.
Oh, shit.
So literally, I'm at home, right? They're starting to stiff our record, and the whole Seattle thing had exploded. So I get a call from Wendy, and Wendy sounds like Bobby Fleckman from Spinal Tap, and she goes, "Hey, I've got a great idea." I said, "What?" She goes, "Why don't you boys? You've already got the long hair. Why don't you just not bathe as much and wear shorts?" And I went, "You realize that we're still a Texas band that does Texas music. We won't suddenly be accepted by the Seattle crowd because we don't smell good and we have shorts on." And
that happened here too in New York. There were all those guys you would see in the rehearsal studios who were like glam metal guys. You would see them they go to rehearsal with their hair teased up. And then when that died and Nirvana came out, you'd see those same guys
Shorts.
2 months later, flannel shirts.
Shorts.
Oh, now we're doing a Red Hot Chili Peppers thing.
Oh wow, whatever.
Dude, that's lame. But that happened everywhere.
Yeah.
Because that was labels saying that.
Sure.
When my band was showcasing, we were just a rock and roll band. But the Black Crowes had just come out. And they were just a rock and roll band. So it was like,
but it was weird.
People
like
rock and roll bands.
They were selectively gone. Everybody went, "That's okay."
They said it's an anomaly.
That's okay, but no one else can.
Right, because we were showcasing at the same time. And they'd be like, "Oh, this kind of music doesn't sell." We were like, "The Black Crowes just sold 8 million copies of their first record." They're like, "It's an anomaly."
And if they'd gotten more bands in that did that kind of thing, it would have been a whole
The next
scene.
band would do the same thing if they were just as good.
Yeah,
It's
right.
but that's been done already. They're always looking for something new. Even though the Pearl Jam thing, there was nothing new about that except that they wore shorts.
And they were the singer always sang out of tune.
Right. They had something of a thing, but you listen to Alice in Chains, it wasn't you never heard that before. They were just real good.
Yeah.
But it wasn't this is a brand new form of music you've never heard music before.
Did you ever understand a lyric that guy sang?
No.
It's if I was in a mountain bike, I made cornflakes. It's you get the last line, right? It was have to pull up to that. It's flat.
Yeah, you'd have to go read the lyrics.
Yeah.
I never knew what they were.
And then, of course, if you were a Seattle band, your lyrics could not make any sense whatsoever. You weren't cool.
And it had to all be about heroin.
And the title had nothing to do with the song.
Right.
So the title would be Acid Rain, and it would say nothing about Acid Rain.
But some of those bands were really good. But that's what labels do. They find something that's really good, and then they drive it into the ground.
Until it's not.
They're like, Nirvana comes out, okay, great.
Yeah.
And they signed a million bands that sound like Nirvana who aren't nearly as good as Nirvana.
I like Soundgarden.
They were amazing.
Man,
Alice in Chains was great. There were some really great bands, and then a lot of mediocre bands that sounded like those bands.
Yes.
That's what they always did. Then it was girls after that. Then it was like Jewel.
Got it.
And all those things. They just go to the next thing. Because when we were showcasing for bands, they were very honest. They're like, we are here to sign Nirvanas.
Right.
Like, but there's already a Nirvana, and they're great at being Nirvana.
Well, but you got to remember, man. You and I both grew up at least around the 60s and 70s when at that time A&R people would sign you for a 3-record deal. They would work your band.
Try to get your band to be good, right.
And help you find your sound. And if you sounded like someone else, there's no way you'd get a deal.
Right.
Back then it was like, you sound too much like
Right,
Rob.
go get your own sound.
Yeah, you sound just like...
Don't have your own sound. It's like Hendrix wouldn't get signed now. It'd be like, it's noisy and it's weird.
You know what freaks,
I don't like it.
You know what freaks me out is that little band with the girlish singer that sounds just like Led Zeppelin, and they got a Grammy and Zeppelin never did.
That's weird.
Greta Von Fleet,
right? They sound like little kids playing Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
but I'm sure they're I'm sure they're nice people.
I'm sure they're great people, but I'm saying,
but they sound like little kids playing Led Zeppelin,
right?
But people like them.
One of my friends made a very valid point. He goes, if you look at that singer, what's missing from the band is there's none of that rock. Right. Vibe and aggression that you had with a band like Led Zeppelin.
Right, or a lot of bands back then. You listen to early Jethro Tull, they all had that. Those guys were listening to blues and doing shit. Those are little kids. They might
the kid's got a great voice.
Might grow up to be good,
but he
with no life experience. It doesn't. Like at 17, how much life experience do you have?
The kid sings. He's got
Robert Plant, I think, was 18.
The kid in Greta Von Fleet's got a strong voice, but he looks like he raided his grandmother's beachwear on stage. I don't understand why he dresses like that.
But it's great. People should make music that sounds like that. It's great.
Absolutely.
Like, every time you hear, like, oh, I feel like Led Zeppelin, but that's cool. They're playing. At least they're not doing rap.
At least
nothing against rap either. Just it doesn't have guitar in it. So
I don't like rap at all.
I'm not a huge rap fan. I like it here and there, but I just don't get it. I'm an old person. I don't get it.
I can't understand anything they're saying.
Yeah,
I'm an old.
Yeah, I like to understand what they're trying to say.
You kids take that drum machine and get off my lawn.
Yeah, that's what you feel like. I mean, I like Tupac. I can get into some rap music, but a lot of it is very repetitive.
Right.
And I don't find it all that interesting musically, but good. Yeah. But I like old music. I like old blues and shit like that. So
but then again, one of my best friends and incredible guitar player, George Pahone Jr., played with the Black Eyed Peas through their whole career.
But they're kind of cool.
And he is a freaking monster rock guitar player.
But yeah, some of them have really good musicians in them. Some of them could be funky. They're playing around with music.
Right.
Like they're doing something their own thing with it. They're sampling. Some of that stuff's cool. It's not what I like to listen to.
I wanted to give George a plug. If you guys get a chance, George Pahone Jr. is in a band now. It's a 2-piece band, and they're called Cairo Knife Fight. And the singer is a drummer. And he'll live sample his drum kit and then get up in front of the band, and it's just him and George. And George is doing this crazy rig where he's doing bass stuff and guitar stuff. And
there's a lot of stuff like that.
Oh, it's fun.
And there's interesting. There's so much music out there now. And some of it's really good. Yeah. But you would never even know about it unless someone hipped you to it.
Sure.
There's just so much stuff. Like you're like, I would have never heard of this, but it's amazing.
Like I was just turned on to a Red Dirt band from Texas. They have 5 albums out, and I didn't know about them until now. Right. And they're called Whiskey Myers.
Oh, I have their record.
I love that band.
That's a really great band. I forget how I found them, but they're killer. That's the music I like.
And we just saw them live.
That sounds like that.
You know what's funny is some of my friends that are songwriters have encouraged me to go back in and do a record, because all my friends went, before you got signed in like early 90, you were a Red Dirt Country band and you didn't know it.
Right.
Because Red Dirt Country is just like classic rock with a fiddle player, kind of, right?
Well, I saw videos of that band.
Yeah.
Of your band, at the Steamboat or whatever it was. It was fucking killing.
Oh, thanks.
If I saw that band at that time, would have been my favorite band.
Well, thank you.
It was just killing songs. You were killing it. The band was amazing.
We were the loudest band.
If you had made a record that sounded like that, it would have been my favorite record.
We were the loudest band in Austin.
It sounded really loud. But it was a fucking great band.
Yeah, thank you.
Nightbot told me, he mixed your showcase, he was telling me.
Yeah.
He's like, I mixed Bob, he said it was great.
Yeah.
But that was a really killing band.
That's why I went back to Austin after '86, because it's so expensive to rehearse here, to live here, all that.
Everything's hard.
It is. I love it. I love it.
To keep a band together is like impossible here.
I love
it. Some guy, girlfriend throws him out, and he's going back to where he came from, and your band's done.
Yeah,
it happens over and over.
Well, it was seeing and how we were in Austin at that time, and the reason the band sounded so tight in those days we had our own rehearsal space.
You might live in the same house.
Well, some of us did. We had our own rehearsal space, and we rehearsed 3 or 4 hours every day except Sunday.
Right.
You know, and
it's very hard here. Like I had my own rehearsal space at the end, but you always wind up with these shared rehearsal space with other bands, and then the other band lends the keys to their junkie friend, and then all your shit's gone.
Yeah, that's not right.
That happens constantly. It's like, at the very end, I finally had like rooms with other bands I knew, but it still was expensive.
Right.
You know, everything's harder here. Out here, like in Sunset Park, like this area is still kind of cool. It's undeveloped, but it won't stay this way.
Well, this reminds me of where I lived in Manhattan in the 85.
Right. There's still places in Manhattan like this, but that's all gone. Now it's all Dwayne Reed. It's all too expensive.
Right.
Like this is the way like the East Village used to be.
Yes.
It was cheap. You could live down there. It wasn't terribly safe, which was great for us because we weren't looking for safety. Most of our activities weren't terribly safe. You know?
Well, the thing is I think New York in general can be safe depending on where you are and your attitude about the people around you.
And the hours you keep.
Yeah, if you don't want to be down on a subway.
If you're in the Hell's Kitchen at 4 in the morning, there's some funky people around there.
Well, the thing is everybody talks about different cities being dangerous all over the world. Like I was just in Mexico City, right? Amazing city, right?
I'm sure it's a great place.
It's an amazing city. But one of my friends was going, "Oh, aren't you scared to go to Mexico City?" I was like, "Dude, there's North Austin at I-35 and Coney Lane is dangerous at 2 in the morning."
Right.
You know,
everywhere. Yeah.
It's like I have an idea. I'm not going to go to a cartel-controlled area to a disco at 1:30 in the morning.
5:30 in the morning and do a bunch of weird drugs.
It's not happening.
All right, so let's double back to, because you've done so much stuff. So
I've done stuff.
You know, it's hard to figure out where to go. Okay. But obviously, when I first became aware of you was through when I first started Mountain Cat. I started doing boutique guitars, and so people said, "Oh, you know, there's cats doing videos for guitars."
Which I was doing, yeah.
And you were pretty much the guy. And you were doing them mostly with Cliff from Destroy All Guitars. Mm-hmm. And that's when I first saw you. And I was just opening Mountain Cat. And I was like, oh, there's people making videos. And there you were. Seeing you were doing it, the first one's in a barn or a garage of some sort.
My friend works on vintage Mustangs.
Right.
We used to use his garage.
It was cool as shit.
So there'd be like a Mustang on the left.
Yeah. I've ever seen that video go, that's fucking cool.
Right.
And I think and we were like, oh, well, because we just started making videos. And we're like, oh, we could make videos, I guess.
Sure.
But we don't have someone like that. Cool. But so I just started making videos because someone said, oh, you should. Everyone's doing it.
Right.
And I had Daniel, who couldn't be here today because he had an ACL surgery yesterday. Right. But normally he does the videos.
Okay, cool.
So he'll edit all this after the fact. But he had just got out of film school.
Right.
So you could film things. So we're like, oh, we can make videos.
Why not?
So we just started. The real early ones are real weird.
Right.
You know, it takes you a second to get used to.
Well, the thing is yours are very organic like mine are. Mine have always been kind of funky. Right. I mean, there's a lot of guys like that I have a lot of respect for that their videos are super slick and well produced, and mine have never been that way.
They became that way. And now anyone can make one, because I could even make them myself with my phone and I could edit them.
Sure.
Back then I couldn't.
Right,
I didn't know how. You know, Daniel, his still look way better than
mine. Right, of course.
And he edits better because he's actually a professional editor at Vice.
Right.
So he can edit shit. But, you know, I can make them in my house and I could put the info on them in iMovie or whatever this is. So, you know, everyone's making their own videos now, so it isn't this thing where you had to make back then, like, you know, like you charged people a lot for their videos because their guitars sold. Well, it was worth paying you to make a video.
Yeah, I mean, and plug for myself. I'm still doing videos for hire. I because of my non-compete with my own company, I can't do amp videos anymore, really. But I do guitar videos and pedal videos.
Yeah, so
and you know, there was one builder that called me one time a few years ago, and you know, it's weird because I don't have as many followers as some people do, but I have the right ones.
Right.
And so
numbers of followers we all know doesn't mean shit.
So so this really killer builder said, I'm in a bit of a slump. I want to send you my flagship guitar, and we did one out in the garage, and he sold 11 guitars the next week.
Right.
11. Which put him back in, you know, in this.
Right.
And that was awesome, and I'm really happy that we've been able to help people.
Yeah, well, that was the thing back then. Like, you had to have Lance do a video, because how else are people going to see your shit?
Well, now you have Pete Thorne and all these other guys that are really good.
Yeah, he was always great.
Dude, he's great. Sean Tubbs. Awesome.
Yeah, there was a lot of guys back then. All of a sudden, they come in and we're like, fuck, these guys are good.
Oh, and I'm going, oh no, these guys look like professional, and they know what,
they're really playing.
They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. You know, and then you know how it is too, because you have a YouTube channel. You always get the people that go, hey, great job, and then the other people that go, you realize the bass player's G-string was slightly out of tune, or
YouTube's the worst, because I have a million YouTube videos, and I did a Les Paul Jr. video. It's an old Junior, it went out of tune in the middle of the video. Like, the string slipped. But I was like, all right. It's a cool video. It's fine. So I wrote in the caption, hey, the G string slipped slightly.
Yeah.
But it's a cool video and you can get an idea. Sure. Every single comment was like, buy a tuner. You're an asshole. Your guitar's out of tune.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like,
my best one was
buy a tuner. They all said
my best one is you've aged a lot. You playing hillbilly hack.
I got at one point I was experimenting with this massive beard.
Yeah.
And some guy writes, I didn't know Hagar the Horrible played guitar. That was my favorite one.
Right.
And look at it, I was like, I look just like Hagar the Horrible. Good for that guy.
Well, what you have to be able to do is just let that stuff roll off your shoulders.
I still got you suck.
Good.
Not as much as I used to, though.
I'll start watching your stuff more and go, no, he doesn't. He's my friend. Stop it.
I just love to learn how to play guitar.
I know you are, but what am I?
Okay.
Oh, no, some guy went out. Sean Tubb does videos, right? And Sean is like a monster player. He played with Carrie Underwood and all these people. Just play.
You suck.
He can play anything. And I saw this thing on Facebook where some guy in Nashville was going after him for not playing worth a shit or something. And I was like, dude, you better put your playing up or be quiet.
Professional guitar player.
Sean's a badass,
Yeah, so I don't feel. I mean, there's a lot of angry people out there on YouTube, but and it's known to be that way, So I don't get them too often. I have a lot of videos now. Like we've been doing them. I have videos that are almost like 10 years old now.
Sure.
So you are considerably younger than them.
Right. So somebody goes, "Wow, you've really."
Fuck, I have aged.
I'm like, you've really aged.
No
I'm like,
shit.
That was 14 years ago. Yeah, let's.
You look the same as you looked 14 years ago.
I wished I did.
Right, but now you can see it. It's like, all right, like no one looks like they look 14 years.
We have to be comfortable with our oldness.
Well, it's just happening now, but now you can see it.
Yes.
Now you can, for the last
you document it online.
12 or 14 years, you're going to see pictures from when you were younger. So but look. I have one video. I just happen to have 4 Tweed Deluxes at the same time.
Wow.
And the different ones.
Sure.
So I was like, what? Someday someone will find this helpful. Let's do a video. And we'll play each one because I like the earlier Tweed Deluxes better than the later. Okay. Everyone goes for the thin panels, but I like the fat panel better. Okay. And I did that video, and so many. I've seen it. It has like a 500,000 hits or more.
Amazing.
I've seen it reposted a million times when the people are talking about deluxes, and so many people have written, "Thank you so much. I was going to buy a fat panel, but now I'm buying a thin panel, but now I'm going to buy a fat panel because of this video."
Cool.
I was like, that's the way I feel about it. Because the thin panels just break up immediately.
Right.
Like they just which a lot of people want. They want Billy Gibbons.
It goes from 0 to Neil Young.
Yeah, one, it's distorted.
It's like 0 to Neil Young. And
it's like a Tweed Champ. Yeah. It's bigger.
Sure.
But I play a little cleaner than that. So I like there to be a bit of, so the fat panel doesn't do that. It's a different circuit.
Right.
So it takes a second until it gets distorted.
Well, a sidebar note. You and I like the same sort of like red dirt country, sort of slightly distorted Fender.
Fuzziness on it.
I found a pedal that you need to check out that I would like.
Oh, is that the one you just told me about?
I haven't put the video up yet, but there's a company in Eastern Europe called, believe it or not, my company's called Smart Bell.
Those guys.
Theirs called Dry Bell.
Yeah, I looked at that.
The Unit really 67?
Cool. Yeah.
So I got the Unit 67 pedal. You will love it.
And did you make a video of it?
I did. The video's in my WeTransfer inbox, and I don't have my laptop with me, so when I get home, I have to upload.
Yeah, I went on their website and checked it out.
Yeah, but basically, their website videos don't really show everything the thing will do, but so cool for guys like us because you could set a Fender style amp clean.
Right.
It's got a linear boost, then it's got like a Rangemaster boost, then it's got a bass and treble control, and then a sustain knob for compression. Ooh. So you can go from super clean to Mike Campbell in like a couple of knobs changes and just step on the button and it's right there.
Put that on the list, Mike.
Unit 67. I'm just giving them.
Mike's had a pedal tear.
And as a disclaimer, I do not work for Unit 67, nor have I been paid money by them. I just like the pedal. I think it's really.
Yeah, those sounded cool. I want to hear that.
Yeah.
So, and then how did you originally get hooked up with Cliff from Destroy All Guitars?
Okay, well that's a weird one because Cliff had years ago been at Sony.
Right, he was a record guy in the city.
Right. So he knew of me.
His own label?
He had Relativity.
Right.
And at some point somebody had pitched me to Cliff at Relativity.
Right.
But I think I had too many more like, song, and it wasn't as guitar oriented as his label was. But we knew of each other. So when I started doing demos for just individual builders, Cliff called me up, and he goes, "That's Cliff from Destroy All Guitars." And asked me if I wanted to do videos for him.
Oh, that's right.
And I said, "I like money." And so we worked out a deal. And I, for a while there, man, I was doing 6-7 videos a month.
Oh yeah, that's right when I discovered all that.
Yeah, for Cliff. I mean, because Cliff
banging them out.
I mean, there was so much stuff coming and going from my place. It was unbelievable, and we were just doing the videos, and I had a great team, because it's Austin, and guys are around that are awesome. Right. Generally, I would have Tommy Taylor on drums.
That's right, you were doing band videos or killing bands.
Yeah, like I said, Tommy Taylor played with Eric Johnson, still does. And I had Mark Epstein from Johnny Winter and Bonamassa band on bass. And this guy, Patterson Barrett, on keys, who's an amazing multi-instrumentalist. So we would do these jam things. And what was so funny is I went back and listened to a bunch of them at one point, right? And I went, edit, cut, and I went, that's an instrumental record. And I put it out. It was called Mystic Redneck.
Oh, I love that record. You sent me a copy.
That's nothing but jams.
Yeah, there was some really great stuff on that.
But there's no songs. It's just jams. Because then some people have gotten, touched me online and they've gone, it was really cool how you guys just seem to naturally morph and the song takes all these different shapes. I'm like, it's because we didn't have a song.
But that was a cool record, though. I remember you said that to me at the time.
I'd have to learn all that stuff to play it.
Cool record. Yeah. The stuff sounded great.
Oh, thanks.
Band,
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I remember that. That wasn't that long ago. It was like 5 years ago or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because it pops up in my iTunes once in a while. But that was cool. So yeah, and then you worked with Cliff. That's kind of when that's when I wound up in boutique guitars. Like Cliff called me. Cliff was funny that way because I think he did the same thing with Cobra. He called me like the second day I was open.
Just to check in and say,
it's like hello.
Yeah, hello.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Right. And he called Cobra like the first day they opened Cobra guitars. Like,
cool.
He just had a great sense of what was coming. He got called Cobra literally the first day.
I will say this about Cliff. Cliff does a lot of research.
Yeah, he knows.
And he'll find guys that are great that I've never heard of.
That's what the last conversation I had with him, which wasn't that long ago, he had sort of just said, well, that's what I'm good at. Like finding these guys and bringing them to the public. He's like, because anyone can take it from there. Right. Anyone can sell a guitar that's fully formed. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of true. I said, look, because he started everything. I always credit him with that. Mm-hmm. No one was just focusing on boutique guitars that I know of before him.
I think he might have been the first
that I know of who was really just doing that.
Yeah, and he's a good guy. And I've worked with him off and on for years.
Yeah, we crossed a lot of builders. We had a lot of the same guys because when I started doing it, I was like the second guy it seemed. Right. So I was just the alternative to Cliff. Sure. Because Cliff was just so busy at that point. These guys were all complaining they couldn't get him on the phone. Right. He was repping everybody. Yes. He's selling guitars. So all those guys started calling me saying, oh, there's another guy and he's near New York and this will be awesome. And everyone's telling me, oh, I can't get Cliff on the phone. I'm like, well, look how many people he reps. Sure, he's fucking busy. It was a lot. He's got to sell those guitars. It's not like he has staff there.
And some of the guitars were really expensive and really interesting and weird.
He had all those guys.
I've got a guitar one time that had some sort of weird squid and a big eye that moved around.
Yeah, he had weird
and I was
shit.
like, what the heck? I mean, not that it wasn't a good guitar. It played well, but I was like, some of the stuff he sent me was like, oh my god, this is so strange.
Yeah, it was all over the place. But I remember the first time I saw the thing, it had to be 60 or 70 builders he was running.
Yeah, and then amps. The only thing he didn't get into is acoustic guitars.
Right. That's harder. I never did either. Boutique acoustic guitars is a whole other thing. It's a whole other thing. And you have to have your place perfectly temperature controlled. Right. If you can have all these acoustics. That's a different clientele. It's a whole other world to learn. Yeah. I don't even know who the hip boutique acoustic guitar guy is.
I don't know either.
I had a few get in touch with me over the years and sent me guitars. And I was like, man,
great guitar.
Fucking amazing. Sounds like a Martin. Gold Adira Martin. It's brand new.
A lot of money though, right?
Yeah, they're usually $6-7 grand. Because it's harder to make an acoustic guitar than make an electric guitar. Sure. It's a lot more goes into it. But and I was like, oh, that'd be fun to do that someday. But then you realize the only reason I was able to really do what I did and probably Cliff is because I sort of specialized at a certain point and just did boutique guitars. I still did vintage guitars, but even if I did boutique guitars, they looked like vintage guitars. They had something to do with vintage guitars. Yeah. So I found that was my little niche because I had all this vintage guitar.
We worked with Josh.
Right.
At Procaster. Hi, Josh.
Yeah, he should be here. And the first person was Doug Coward. Yes. The second person was Mike Potvin, and the third, and they all knew each other. Right. That's how it all started. And then Sam Cardinal, but they all knew each other already. Those guys were all friends.
And what was so cool about some of those guys too is Sam's earliest work was okay. Right. Sounded great. It was okay.
Right. We've all gotten better.
And then he went from zero to incredible in no time.
Because a lot of those early guitars I still have. of certain builders because they never sold.
Sure.
And I just kept them as floor models. When you look at them now, and the builders don't even want you showing them.
Right.
Because they were very primitive versions of what they make. That was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Like Mountain Cat's 10 years old in November. So
and look at some of the crazy stuff Doug's doing with the Firebirds and all that stuff. It's like wild. Really, really
that was the whole thing because I was the Banshee dealer.
Right.
Doug built the Banshees. know, we sold tons and tons of them, and then had to reconfigure them. But but that was like, Doug was the first person to call me because when I put up my first website, I was repping Brian Monty guitars because he's an old friend of mine.
Yeah,
and
I demoed some of his guitars.
And new stuff, and vintage stuff. But I think what people thought is that I was a boutique store that just didn't list the rest of the builders yet.
Right.
And Doug Howard called me. He said, "Oh, I see you're opening a guitar place. And you're repping boutique builders." And I was like,
"How do you feel?"
I have one,
really?
right? And he was like, "Well, can I send you guitars?" And I was like, "Send guitars to me?"
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, why
I'll
not?
accept guitars from you. Because I had no money to start my business. I just started a business. So, and they showed up and they were amazing. And I was like, these guitars are amazing.
His stuff was good. I demoed a lot of Doug's stuff.
Yeah, and it was raw, but I remember showing it to Bob, and he's like, well, this is, this could be a little smoother, that kind of thing. But, the guitars sounded good. And it was all good. So, and then, the next guy, and they all started commenting. I was like, and they were all willing to consign these guitars because I knew people, I had a big following from the city, and then it just started rolling and it turned into a whole little business. But my idea was just to do vintage guitars because that's all I ever did. Right. And I probably wouldn't have been able to stay open because the vintage market's so weird. There's so many guys doing it. There's just so many guys who want to buy that 55 Telly. Right. And they'll basically pay retail just to have it in their shop.
Sure.
So I can't really do that. So, I get a lot of consignments up where I live. I'm lucky there aren't that many other reputable vintage dealers around. I have a good reputation, so I get a lot of good consignments. But without the boutique thing, Mountain Cat, it really became what Mountain Cat was. And then I hooked up with Josh. And, I do all the business for Protocaster.
Josh is great.
Yeah, and when I first met Josh, I think I only made 2 or 3 guitars.
Yeah, in fact, I was just sitting out there playing that 335 he has, going...
Give it to Josh.
First thing
that's every guitar now, though.
First thing I would do is I would take it, just give it to Josh and go
strip that shit.
Do the Josh thing.
They sound better. They feel better. They like vintage guitars. That's Josh from Protocaster Guitars.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Home. And he's not far from here. But but when I first met him, he'd only made a couple guitars. Right. Me and Nightbob went over to his place. Because Doug Howard told me about him. He's like, there's a guy in New York. If he lived in California, I'd hire him tomorrow.
Wow.
He's the best finish guy. But he hadn't shot that many finishes even.
He's just really good at it naturally. You know a funny story about Nightbob, and this is a weird one, guys.
He'll be here shortly too.
Yeah, so Nightbob will remember this. This is so funny. So Bob and I met in the '80s. He ran sound for me, helped me a lot when I was here. He's a great guy, and I got an endorsement with Kramer because I was working out with all the Jersey guys, all the guys that worked with Bon Jovi and all that. So they introduced me to Kramer. I get into the Kramer family, and I meet Chris Hofschneider, that we all called Lumpy. Lumpy worked for Lumpy worked for Richie Sambora for years. And Lumpy called me up one time out of the blue, and he goes, "Man, I haven't talked to you in a couple of years. I love you. I want to make you a guitar. What do you want?" And I said, "I want something that's derivative of Firebird, but thicker like a Les Paul and slightly smaller, and I want Saguaro cactuses for fret markers and some interesting headstock."
Where's that guitar?
Well, here's what happened. 3 months later, this case shows up, this box, 2 P90s, Sunburst, Mother of Pearl Guard, Mother of Pearl Saguaro cactuses. Killer guitar. And I was about to go on tour with Mike Tramp from White Lion in Europe playing guitar for Mike. So I take the guitar to Europe, played it on the tour. There's a lot of photos and video of me playing that guitar. I get home, Chris calls and says, "Hey, would you send that back? I want to spec it so I can make some more of them just like it." Sure. So I ship it back. Never hear from him again, and then Chris dies.
Ooh.
So I thought, well, that guitar's, who knows what happened, right? Just about a month ago, Bob sees an old photo on Facebook of me with Mike Tramp, and he goes, "Hey, what's that guitar you have on there?" And I said, "It's one that Lumpy built for me, but I sent it back and never got it from him." He goes, "Oh, I know where it is." I said, "Where?" And he goes, "He sold it to Walter Becker when he needed money."
No.
It's in Walter's stuff? It's in Walter's stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's what happened.
That happened with a couple of guitars that people were looking for ultimately wound up with Walter.
Yeah.
Did he buy anything that was cool?
Oh, yeah. Walter had a bunch of cool stuff.
He was awesome. Bob was dealing with that. But
God rest his soul.
He was the best. He would have loved this place.
Oh, he would have. You would have never gotten him out
This
of
would have been
here.
his spot. He'd be out there right now.
Yeah, when I first, how I first met Walter when I was with you guys at that Brooklyn show.
Right.
And I'm standing in the hallway, right, and this guy in a Hawaiian shirt comes up and goes, Lance, and hugs me. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And I'm going, yeah, cool. And Bob walks up and he goes, well, it's Walter. And it's like, oh, Walter, oh yeah. And so it was such a funny thing to have somebody that was a legend like that. What he said to me is he goes, I love your playing. I bought everything you've ever demoed. And Bob goes, everything. And sure enough, when I went to Walter's locker, I was like, all these guitars. I was like, yeah, I demoed that, and I demoed that, Oh, there's some amps I demoed. He just bought all of it.
Oh, we did the Karima guitar. He had to have the first one.
Yeah, he's so good.
And it was this whole thing, and he was pissed at me because I let Billy Gibbons was rehearsing downstairs at SAR on the day we brought that to Walter.
And you let him try it.
I let him try it.
Yeah.
And I heard Walter was pissed about that.
He's like, mine.
Yeah. I'm killing if people try it. But Billy was right there. My friend Mojo was there. And he's like, oh, show that guitar to Billy.
Right.
I love him.
So I guess that guitar is still in the Walter collection, right?
I think 2 of them. I think he bought a second one.
Oh, wow, cool.
But yeah, it's in there.
Oh, cool.
But the thing was, we really had to rush Josh. This is the funny thing about Walter. Because he wanted it, they were going on tour. He had to have it.
Right.
So Josh had 3 days to finish the thing. So
right.
It was his first thing he was doing for Walter. So I was like, look, he'll do it, but you can't judge him on this finish. Because he has virtually no time to shoot it. And Walter's like, I don't care. I don't care what things look like. And he really didn't. But he did. So when we delivered the guitar, he's like, best sounding guitar I own. Looks like shit. Like I told you. So I said, we'll go on the tour and come back and we'll refinish it for you.
Sure. And
he was like, okay, whatever, So they come off the tour and I was like, hey, Walter, if you don't want that guitar, we'll refinish it for you. He's like, oh no, you can't refinish it. It might sound different.
Right, because it's perfect the way it is.
Yeah, I was like, he's like, but I hate the way it looks. I was like, but it'll sound the same. He's like, it might not.
That's true.
And they had a Doug Cowan guitar too. The first Banshee I sold him, it developed some kind of weird bubble.
And he left it.
And he was like, I was like, you want us to refinish that? He's like, there's sounds in this guitar that don't come out of any other guitar.
Right.
So I don't want anyone fucking with it.
Yeah.
I don't, he didn't want it messed with. It would sound, and he really didn't care what things looked like so much.
Well, when I had my old company, Retro Channel, with that solid state train wreck thing, he was one of the first people that bought one.
Yeah, he was like that. He was like a patron of all the boutique things.
Yeah.
Because as he would tour, I would set up appointments like, are you going to Canada? Brian Monty. He's like, have him come to soundcheck. Tell him to bring guitars. And he'd buy them all. Awesome. And this would go on all across the country.
Well, that's awesome.
Wherever he was, I'd be like, oh, this builder, tell him to bring guitars. Wow. So every soundcheck turned into let's check out these things on the stage.
That's cool.
And then as they were traveling, because Bob was with them the whole time, they'd just be hitting guitar shops the whole way. And there was one time they were going on tour. He wanted to bring, I think, somewhere like 70 or 80 guitars on tour.
Wow.
Bob could confirm this. I'm pretty sure that's the thing, and I think they had to get a whole nother truck. And as they were touring, he was buying more stuff.
Wow. It must be nice to have so much money that you can just go, and I'll have that one, and I'll have that
one.
It's so
focused, though. You would go they sat in that room at SIR all day, Bob, and just mess with stuff.
Oh, sure.
Just
get the sound
all day, every day.
Yeah.
Just playing with stuff.
Tone junkie, man.
Whoa. They were deep into it. They were just so deep. And Bob, of course, knows everything.
Sure.
Yeah, and they would always do this thing. It's different when you see guys like that try guitars. Walter would always just plug it in, turn all the knobs down, and then start very slowly turning them up and seeing what sounds were in the in-between positions.
Yeah.
You see a lot of guys, they get a guitar, they put everything on 10, blah, they play. Yeah. But that wasn't what they were doing. You'll see Bob do it later.
Listening to nuances.
They're playing with the tone knobs the whole time.
Sure, me.
But you don't see old school guitar players
I play with the tone knob.
Right, Jeff Beck was doing.
But I usually start with the knobs down. Everything turned down, and I'd hit an open G chord, and I can go, no.
Right, but there were a lot of guys, Dickie Betts would just hit this one note each time and be like, meh.
If it doesn't do that right, you can't keep it. Yeah.
But it's the same note each time in every guitar.
What's so funny? You mentioned Dickie Betts. I opened for Dickie Betts at somewhere. I don't think it was a Stone Pony. It was somewhere in New Jersey when I was here in '85.
Stone Pony.
It might have been. And so I'm backstage, and Carmine's warming up, and the drummer's doing his thing, and Dickie's stuff is kind of back there. And I walk over, and there's literally a '50s gold top with a Kaler.
That's right. I've seen pictures of that. There's a video of them.
And I'm just standing there going,
Whoa.
God. And all of a sudden, I hear this voice behind him. He goes, "Ain't like I'm selling it, boy." There's Davis Dickey.
Okay.
And I went,
It's very nice, sir.
and I went, "Okay, sorry, I'll step away from
Yeah,
you."
those were dark years for guitars. There's like videos of like them playing pointy headstock things. Like everybody did. You know,
Yeah.
you just had to.
Yeah, he goes, "Ain't like I'm selling it, boy." You know, my friend that's got the coolest guitar collection is Frankie Sullivan
From
for Survivor.
right.
And he has a bunch of my amps. And he's just another guy like Walter who's bought all that stuff over the years, right? You know, and it's like you know, I can't even probably say on a podcast or a camera show the stuff he has, but it's mind blowing.
Right. Yeah, there's guys out there have, you know,
I'm sure Gibbons has all that stuff too.
Yeah, a lot of the, you know, you had to be around at a certain, because I always thought that, like, when I first started working at Chelsea Guitars, a Blackguard Telly and a Gold Top were $5,000.
Yeah,
But I didn't have $5,000.
I didn't have
I
$5.
have $5.
Right.
So,
Oh, yeah.
It's cheap. I still couldn't afford it.
Oh well, you know, Frank told me that I don't think he paid more than $5,000 for any of his flame tops, and he's got like 9.
Well, this guy said, "Oh yeah, I paid $400 for a Blackguard back." You know, like I was, you know, like I started getting to guitar in the mid '80s. I worked at a vintage guitar shop when I was still in college. But stuff wasn't cheap. I couldn't buy a 50 Strat. I wanted one.
Sure,
They were already $4,000 or $5,000.
it's a lot of dough for a kid.
For a kid, I'd have $4,000 or $5,000 for a guitar. You know, like
Right.
I just didn't. You know, you'd be able to get some stuff, but you couldn't get tellies. You know,
Right.
like 50s tellies. But you can get 60s tellies. You can tell get 70s tellies. But you can get late 60s ones, especially if they were refinished. That's what Chelsea Guitars was great for, because we only got there, because you can get a lot of refinished stuff or part stuff.
Yeah.
Stuff that sounded right. It just wasn't really all original.
Wow.
You know, but
Yeah.
but all vintage guitars were always expensive. Even in the '80s, you look at Guitar Trader things. You know, a Burst was already $20,000.
Right.
You know, I would like to have had one of those and have $20,000. Everyone's like, $20,000? What are they talking about? How could a guitar be $20,000? You know?
I don't know, man. It's like I'm such just a dumb hillbilly. I think if I had millions of dollars, I still wouldn't buy a Burst. I'm not going to spend that much money on a guitar. I don't really give a shit that much. It's like if I pick it up and play the G chord and it sounds good, I'll play it.
Right, some of those are great guitars. You know, like they make great guitars in the 50s. You know, it's not all great.
Yeah.
But, you know, but some of them really are magical. You can buy a guitar for that much money because it's a good investment. You know, if you really want to have one, it's fun to have. It shows the other rich friends. You know, but you know, if I could have one, I'd certainly get one. You know, like
Well, if I could have one and not have to pay half
right,
$1
I'm
million
like,
dollars,
right, but I'd certainly like one. You know, I've played a couple that were really fucking amazing things.
crap,
You're like,
I'd buy a
whoa.
house.
Right,
You'd live in a house.
Yeah,
You live in a house and have you know Charles Whitfield or
Yeah, well, that's
Josh
the
or
thing. That was like-
somebody else build me some
who make
guitars.
amazing stuff. That wasn't the case when I
Yeah.
first started playing guitar. That's why we looked for old guitars, because the new guitars weren't good.
Well, you know I'm left-handed, right? I play guitar right-handed, and there's only one reason. I took a couple lessons, and the guy walks in, and I'm holding my guitar like this. First thing he said to me is, he goes, "This is 70s, right?" And he goes, "You will never find good
Your life
left-handed
will suck."
guitars.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate your life if you get into this seriously.
I just tell
You're gonna have
people.
knobs up under your arms and stuff." He goes, "Just do this," and I went, "Okay." So
That's why I tell people, because they're like, "Oh, my son's lefty, or should he play guitar lefty?" I'm like, "Not really. I mean, he's gonna go to a party. There's gonna be a guitar there. He can't play it."
Right.
You know, you can't borrow his friend's guitar.
Unless you do what Doyle Jr. does, and Doyle just turns the
I have
guitar
friends like
over.
that who could play the other way. You know, like,
And it makes for a really unique style with Doyle Brommel Jr. because, you know, you're watching him in most of his bending, he's bending down.
down, right? Well, then it sounds like Albert King. You know,
Yeah.
about that.
It's really
That was
cool.
Walter's whole thing. It's funny, like Walter, like what I do him, which is all about Albert King.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
if you went and listen to them play, you're like, oh yeah, duh. That's why I liked, you know, Carino Flying Bees. You
Oh,
know, like,
sure.
But he was really into Albert King. You know, and then
Oh,
like
yeah.
we would see him solo some nights, and you'd be like, he's just playing Albert King riffs, and then Steely Dan things. But like,
Right.
you know, Albert King, I think affects everybody who hears that.
Right.
You know, like if you're a guitar player, that's kind of fuck you up. But he's bending down. And that's why all those English guys like started bending
Well,
down.
I've been down on my G string a lot.
Yeah, it's a different sound.
Yeah, it is. Down
Yeah.
instead of up, for sure.
Yeah, when you see Albert doing it, it's like, whoa.
Right.
Fucking his hands were massive. You know, it's a Carino V through acoustic amps. That's what he used?
Wow.
Like,
Well,
I think at Fillmore, like,
well,
you
I
know,
mean, B.B. King was using those Gibson
those Lab Series.
Lab Series amps.
Yeah, super weird. I've sold those over the years. They're super weird. Like,
Yeah, they have a
not
compressor-
terrible
compressor
sounding, right?
built in.
But it's a weird choice. You could have had a
Yeah.
twin.
Yeah.
I forget why he said he liked those labs or how he even got them.
Right. Well, you never know with people in gear. Some people are very edgy and weird and want to tweak every little thing about
Yeah,
the
and some
gear.
people don't care.
And some people don't care. It's like I know that my mentors, when they got their deal on the Two Guns guys, one of the first tours they were on, they were the opening act, and right after them played Molly Hatchet and then the Outlaws. And these guys had, my mentor Bobby Williams had a 59 flame top, Marshalls,
Ulrich.
everything. He had a slab board 59 Strat. And one day they're hanging out, and he finally just says to Dave Lubeck straight up, he goes, "Why do you guys play Peavies?" He goes, "You're making money," and he goes, "'Cause they're free."
They're free, right?
It's like
Skinner had them. Everybody had them.
yeah, they're free.
Well, they were Mississippi Marshalls. That's like, but Skinner did entire back.
They sounded great.
At
though.
the end, it was Peavies.
Yeah.
At the beginning, of course, they
Well,
Marshalls.
my friend from Austin, Bill Webb, was teching for Skinner the last few years. And he said that they actually went back in the warehouse and pulled out Gary Rossington's original white PV. I guess they were Maces or whatever they were, right?
Yeah,
and Bill said he went through them and tweaked it up, and they brought it on stage, and Gary plugged into it, and he goes, sounded just like all those records. It was amazing.
Right. I'm sure those were really well made.
Yeah.
That's why everyone was using them.
Yeah.
Every
They didn't
summer.
break.
Yeah, they were in the States. They were down south.
Yeah. Charles is speaking.
Oh. There's so much stuff, so we're going to have to do another podcast. But
We will.
Yeah. But let's at least talk about your amps.
Let's do.
So you've done tons and tons of guitar. So you've been doing project stuff since I've known you.
Sure.
So this is your latest of many.
Sure.
But this is really your company.
Yes.
And so is Retro Channel.
Well, what I finally said is I said, wow, I've made a lot of people a lot of money, and I haven't made any.
So
Would it be nice if I made
got
the
some
money?
money, right.
I'd like to have money too. It's like I make everybody else famous and can make them lots of money, and I don't make any money. So I
you
thought,
have great ideas for gear.
Yeah.
Every good idea you come up with is like, that's a killer idea, someone should build that.
and then people run with that and
they
make a
do
lot
it.
of money.
Fuck you over.
Well, generally what happens, and I won't name names, but it's happened to me about 12 times. Somebody will go, "That's a killer idea. Let's do that together. And on every one of those we sell, we're going to give you this
It's money.
And the most
That's
recent,
where it breaks down.
the most recent one was on a Flying V project, and there was a middleman between me and.
I was going to get involved in that one.
Well, yeah, it was between a middleman between me and the actual Eastern European builder.
Right.
They said we can build 25 of these Vs for you to sell exact replicas.
Yeah, remember?
And they're really
Loved
good.
it.
But you can only sell 25, and then that's it. And we won't make any more. I said okay. So and the pay was good.
You were selling them,
And
weren't
I was sold like 16 of them, and then the guy in America calls and says, hold on. The builder's out of Carina. We don't have the right wood right now. We need to hold off for a while. And I had other guys going, man, I want to buy a guitar. I want to buy a guitar.
I want the Bulls.
Well, the American guy made a very dumb mistake. I'm at the Dallas Guitar Show. He had me on the guy's Facebook page as an administrator, and all of a sudden a message pops up
Oh, God.
that says, what am I on the V list now, number 27 or 28?
Oh, shit. Like, oh, you dicks.
Here we go again. I'm out. Bye. So no, negativity aside, I thought, why not put together my own company, do my own thing that I really want to do? And my favorite amps in the whole world,
Or doubles.
well, early 70s Dumbles and Tweed Twins.
Right.
And so I worked together with Lee Jackson, who's, an engineer. Are we to stop? No. Okay.
We just changed them.
We work, Lee Jackson lives in Austin, normal eccentric amp guy. And I said, look, I don't want to copy a Dumble. I love the way the early 70s ones look. I don't want it to be a dead nuts on copy of anything, but what I really dig is the early David Lindley Dumbles and Tweed Twins. And he said, let's see if we can do it. Will you buy the parts? I said, sure. It was only going to be for me.
Right.
So we built the thing, and we both turned it on and went, wow. Other people might like this.
Well, he's a serious builder.
Yeah, he knows his stuff.
Yeah.
And so we went, well, let's start offering them. And then I was out for a walk one morning. I said, what are we going to call it? What are we going to call it? And I went, Smart Belle. And I thought of 40s planes, like fighter planes.
Right.
And so he said, we're going to have a pinup girl like they would on the old fighters.
Right.
And we're going to name all the models after those planes, right? So the 100 watts, the P51.
Right.
And then we came up with a 6v6 version of it that has a half power switch. That's called a P38. And
you have that out there?
yes. And so we started getting really, really good feedback and started selling amps. And then some celebrities started buying the amps. Tommy Shaw bought a 100 watt from Styx. Frankie Sullivan's bought 2 amps from Survivor. And then the thing I'm kind of most excited and proud about was we were in LA, and I had always wanted to get, since we started this, and it hadn't been that long, it's been less than a year, I'd always wanted to get one of these to Joe Walsh, because Joe's the reason I play slide, right? He's such a great player and such a great writer and singer and everything. And so we were able to get Joe to hear the amps, and he chose a P38, so he's got the 4.6V amp, and apparently loves it. He bought it. You know, he's one of those, all of the guys that have worked with us, thank goodness, that are like celebrities and pros, have been the kind of guys that go, we will pay for what we want. And so so they've paid for the gear, and it's been really cool. Got a lot of great customers. And then what we recently did is we brought my buddy Steve in, who is an incredible analog circuitry designer, and we took the platform that we're doing, which is basically a early 70s Dumble style platform, but with very, very handmade tweed style transformers. So technically our transformers are only 4 ohms.
Good.
You can use an 8 ohm or 16 ohm cabinet, you just lose headroom and a little low end, but 4 ohms is where they like to live, right? Yeah. So we brought Steve in and said, we want to do something people can afford that sounds good. So Steve, rather than doing a digital modeling thing or doing an analog model of an entire amplifier, we've narrowed it down now to where he analog models the tubes.
Wow.
Just the tubes. And each tube, he spent a lot of time making it react just like, and it's all analog, there's no digital stuff. So now we have this thing called the SR71, because it's a spy plane, right?
Yeah.
And it's a 20-pound version of our 100 watt amp.
And solid state.
And solid state.
I want to hear that.
And guys have been freaking out over it. And I did some videos on it and sold 26 of them in about 4 weeks.
Wow. Yeah, dying to hear that.
And so what we're going to do now is that's going to be a production model for us that we'll put in stores, like actual retail stores around the world. Because what we want to be able to do is service our friends in the boutique market with our high-end stuff, right, but also to have something that, you know, an average player could go down to a store, plug in, play, enjoy, and buy it.
That's awesome.
And so we're gonna do a whole line of things that are using that technology and affordable.
Good. I'm really excited to hear that.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to end here because we have people out there, obviously. We're going to be here all day.
Sure.
So we're going to take tons of videos. So there will be everything Lance just explained. There'll be videos for him. Lance has already done videos.
Sure.
But Lance, it was great to have you here.
Always
I finally got to do a podcast with you.
Yeah.
And we hope you all enjoyed the podcast, and we will see you next time, and we will be posting tons of videos from where we're going to go party.
As Reinhold Wagner says, time to make the drinking.
Thanks,
Bye,
everybody.
guys.